Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. It is Monday night, which means, of course, it is everybody's favorite day of the week. It's the live call-in show. There we go. Sorry, if there's any lag at all, let us know. StreamYard just took a while to boot up them for some reason, but like I said, it's Monday. It's call-in show, and it's time for the it's the best opportunity if you're a Leicester fan to come and have your say about all things Leicester, whether it's the game that we just had against Man United in the Cup, whether it's about the upcoming game against Arsenal, the shocking transfer window we had. If you want to talk about Happy John Rudkin Day, 10 years, no, this day, 10 years ago today, John Rudkin became director of football. Whatever you want to talk about, let us know. Before we get into it all, though, Anil, mate, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, but you know what made me feel even better, Locks?
Go on.
If a few more people in the channel liked and or subscribed to the channel, because we're currently on 14.9k, and I'm secretly hoping that we're going to cross that mythical 15k mark today. Can we do it? I don't know. Do we have more resolve than Leicester City defending in the 90th minute, even though it was a totally offside goal? I don't know, but I believe in the Blue Tinted Glasses fan club and fans. So can we do it? But otherwise, I'm doing well. How are you, Locks?
Mate, I'm all good. Yeah, 57 away. We want 15k tonight. Yeah, give us 15. No, I'm joking. But no. So yeah, if you can hit like, if you can hit subscribe, it'd be very much appreciated. It would do us a massive favor. JC does point out the obvious. He can only subscribe once. So but yeah, that means a lot that most people who are watching are probably already subscribed. I'll tell you what, though, if you are already subscribed, what you can do instead, make sure to hit the notification bell, because that means you will never, ever, ever, ever miss a live stream. Okay, lots to get into tonight. We've got people calling in. We've got comments flying in. Keep getting them comments in. One more time, you can call in by clicking the link in the description or the link that's now in the chat. It's pinned and it's also here as well. Click that link, put your name in there, turn your camera on, and come and say hello. Just like Mr. Rugy has done, and he is going to be the first caller tonight. So let's get him in. How you doing, mate?
Good evening, everybody. How are we?
Good evening.
First up. This is new. I like prompts and stuff like that. No, it's all
yeah,
good.
I had to get you in first because you've gone a bit viral this week, haven't you, mate?
In what way? I'm viral.
You know what I'm talking about. You know the tweets that everyone was tagging you in. The tweet saying, "Oh, it's Rugy, it's Rugy." Did you see? I'm sure you saw it. Everyone, I saw a couple of people mention you.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, obviously we had the game on the weekend, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, all good, lads. Hope you guys are well. I mean, with the game, kind of just it was kind of went how I expected it to go. Unfortunately, it was just like I thought we had a bit of a decent showing for an hour, where it was like I thought we were compact. It was a decent press. Indeed, he made the world of difference. Like I just think him with the solidity in there, and then when he came off, it started falling apart in a way, and got the goal. And then they teased us, and it was like it gave us hope when initially it wasn't really going to be there, and it's just like it's just the hope that kills you in the end. And it's okay. It was just two really poor sides coming up against each other. What I wanted to sort of come into today is it's more than a Leicester thing. It's more sort of general football thing. It's on VAR. Do you reckon? Do you believe we're better off having it being without it now? And we saw it last season when we were in the Championship, and decisions. They were very inconsistent, largely just with the standard of officials that we had there. But at least there was a free flow to it. And, fans, they're not sort of like left in the lurch when it comes to decisions there. What do you guys reckon?
I'm all for VAR. And I've said this all week over the weekend and stuff on Good Morning Fox and all that. VAR, the technology isn't the problem. It's the people that are making the decisions, because even when they're watching it back, they're still making the wrong decision. That's the crazy part. That shows that it's actually the officials that are the problem, not the technology. I would much rather, Yeah, I know what you mean. Last season, it was brilliant. Scoring a goal and then not, and knowing you could celebrate, knowing that you're not going to like get it cancelled out 5 seconds later. But then on the flip side, you get something like what happened on Friday night, where it's, you know, you're absolutely fucking so gutted. You're so gutted that you've just conceded a last minute goal. But then you suddenly have in your head, normally with VAR, you suddenly have in your head, well, actually, it could get ruled out, and then you either get let down a second time or you get it overturned. So I like VAR. I think it's when applied correctly, it's very good. And I think Manny pointed out a statistic on the weekend that it's now like 92% accuracy. The decisions. Now, some would say that's still quite low, which I understand, but it's getting higher. There's been some high-profile, obviously, cases recently, but I think overall it is a must for the sport, personally, just like goal line technology was, mate. But yeah, I'll hand over to you, UNL.
I'm more of a mixed bag because I think it's because when you're in the ground and you have VAR, it utterly ruins it. You're completely clueless as to what's going on. I think, though, it's the way that it's used that's got to be fixed. Like maybe instead of checking every decision, you could have it like, you know, in tennis, like the players can have like a challenge. So, for example, you don't have it in the game, but say what happened at the end of the game there, Rude can go challenge. I want to challenge that. They play it on the thing and then it gets ruled out. That way you could keep the game going without it being constantly interrupted. Because the worst thing is, as you know, something innocuous as well, and it just takes like 5 minutes to resolve it if it's like slightly offside or something like that. So I think, yeah, I think it's a lot of incompetence, but I think if it was executed correctly, it would actually make the game a lot better. But I just don't understand why we're just so poor with it. But I think it should stay in some form, because otherwise you get, I think our game was the perfect example for that. I mean, I don't know, maybe a lot of people didn't want to see another half an hour of that game. It was a bit pretty tedious watch. But at the same time, I mean, fair play to Amarim afterwards. He even said that, like, you know, that was an offside goal and we got away with that one. So it is a bit of a travesty. Like, imagine if that was the FA Cup final and that happened. I suppose they would have VAR in the FA Cup final, so they would fix that. But yeah, I think just the usage of it, but the way that it's currently implemented is not working well at all, in my opinion.
Well, talking about the FA Cup final, without VAR, we wouldn't have won the FA Cup final.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't, yeah.
Sure. A couple comments. It's such a big talking point. I wanted to get on some comments that people are saying. So, Scott, I mean, I think this is a little bit defeatist to say VAR won as the FA Cup. But I hear what you're saying. Gave us the glum-looking Chilwell, absolutely. Dawn says we all know if it was the other way around, the liner would have seen it. I mean, that's another talking point. In the Turkish league, a team yesterday forfeited the match because of the ref not going back to VAR.
Yeah,
and finally here, the thing that ruins VAR in all sports is the referees are less commanding of their calls because they know they have this grudge. I mean, that is something I will say to you, Rugsy. So you tell me what you think about this. A big talking point online this weekend has been, you know, are the officials now clumsy, right? So are they clumsy with their decisions? Is he not calling for it? Because in the back of his mind, just in, you know, someone being an autopilot, like we all do, we all make mistakes at work, but in autopilot, you're rushing through something and you make a mistake. Maybe in the back of his mind, he's thinking, oh, well, you know, if it's wrong, it'll just get overturned. But obviously that's not the case, right?
Yeah, I think it's gross incompetence rather than any sort of means beyond that leading to corruption. I don't think it's corruption. I think it's just like, you know, it's just blatantly obvious, and it's just like you have to come up with a decision in an instant, and they don't grasp it what they need to go and like formulate in their decision. So like you look at the free kick from Justin, that was a handball. The referee's not even looking there. He's just, and the crowds basically shouted handball, and he just went off that basis. And the linesman you could see like half the team pretty much offside whilst he's running towards and is in line with it. So I don't know whilst he's running, whether he missed it, but yeah, it's just, I think with the officials, that's the main problem here. It's just like, it can be used correctly. I think we've seen in the World Cups and stuff, like it's seamless. Like, you know, they're not really sort of picking out like little bits just to clutch at straws at, and you know, it's more sort of a whole sort of methodical process as to how they go and make those decisions and when they called it up and when they bring the referee over to VAR. I just think I was a huge advocate for it when it came in, just to literally just reduce the number of mistakes. But I think as time has gone by, I don't really think now it's fit for purpose with the refereeing structure that we've got. So what I'd probably suggest is, when it comes to the technology, because with advancing technology and AI and stuff, I think we can push forward for that to have
it's
it.
coming.
With
offside,
so that you just no human intervention needed. You just use that and it's black and white goal line technology that's already in place. So keep that there. But when it comes to decisions and rules and stuff where they use VAR for red card offenses, handballs, there's a whole load of grey area there. And there's a whole load of debate to be had. So how it's really sort of impossible to sort of make a finite call on there. There was a game in the third round, Arsenal United, and there was a lot of needle in that game. And it was so much more enjoyable to watch.
And let me tell you something as well, by the way. Yeah. What I love, there is nothing more I love on a football pitch than a scrap. I love it when and players don't do it anymore because they know, well, if I swing for this guy, I'm getting red carded, right?
And then it's VAR monitor.
Well, even without VAR, they'll probably get a ban. I mean, if you did a Cantona, for example, right? But I'm saying that players are a lot more careful now. And of course, tidying up the game and all that, yes, I suppose it's needed. But there's nothing I love more. I want Vardy to go and elbow someone in the face or something. You know what I mean? Or, that's what I want, man. But you can't do it anymore because you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught.
Yeah, you want a full-on scrap when it comes into it. It's just imagine Battle of a Bridge and it had VAR in there. It just wouldn't have been near the same game at all. That was just hilarious. It was brilliant. All sorts of manipulation there. But
one thing I will say though, Rugy, just lastly from you, Matt, I want you to tell me this. Would we have lost anyway? Because for me, it would have just been another half an hour in the legs of the players and it would have had the same result.
What's baffling me at the minute is the substitutions. I don't know why on earth is Jordan Ayew playing a whole 90 minutes. I see his purpose if he's coming on for the last 20 minutes of the game and you want to there's a method to the madness of that. I don't think he's not a winger. If you're going to play him, he's a second striker. Get him close to whoever's at top and use him as a focal point from there. And then he doesn't have the legs to last 90 minutes anyway. I don't know why he took Reed off. And it was really baffling. And I thought, whatever you think of Ndidi or Buonanotte or Monga and whether they should be reintroduced back into the team, I think there's some sort of way that Rude's got to get them back on side to go and inject some pace.
Tune in tomorrow, Rugy. I'll give you some of the answers to some of the questions you just asked. Very good ones.
Mate. I as always, I feel it wasn't so bad this time around, but I do always feel sorry for Neil because me and you, Rugy, we watch the game and then we can rant about it, and Neil's got to watch it over and over and over again, and then talk about it for an hour on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? So,
I don't envy you at all, Neil.
No, Rugy, mate, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much, mate. We've got loads of other calls. Thank you, mate. Speak to you soon, Rugy. Cheers, mate. Right, who's up next? Do you know who's up next, Neil?
Yeah, it's Dimitri, all the way from Ukraine.
Dimitri, what's going on, man? Here he is. What's going on?
Glad to see you again.
Glad to have you here, mate.
2 weeks in a row, getting that form together. We like it.
So today I just prepared some answers to some questions. So some people asked the questions in the chat. Maybe, and I will share you with you. So, but regarding the cup, maybe it's not some popular opinion, but I think it's even good that it all ended before the extra time because it was a risk of injuries, unnecessary burden of the team. So which could have complicated our fight for survival. And when I saw Ndidi lying on the pitch before he was substituted, so I thought, is it really an injury again? So, but fortunately, everything's good with him. So he's our key player in midfield right now.
Mate, he made a massive difference, didn't he, Dimitri? It's so noticeable how as soon as he came off the pitch, we're a different team.
About the next fixture with Arsenal. So we have this season we have one clean sheet. So it was long ago with Bournemouth. So this means that we always have this freaking scenario when we need to come back, but almost always we just give up and wait for the final whistle. So as I understood, Root will play with 4 defenders all this season, but this scheme requires some coordinated pressing, and there is none. So we constantly see this 30-year-old Vardy running alone with defenders. So the only team that took points from Arsenal twice, is Brighton. And that's because Brighton has some established team pressing, constant movement. Though we made a draw with them. So another example, a good game against Arsenal is Ipswich. They lost 1-0, but they held on very well. Largely due to 5 defenders who complicated the work of their fast wings. So I know that Saka isn't available, but they have Martinelli, they have Trossard. Trossard is really dangerous. I like his playing. But our Every Fox's line lives its own life.
Yeah.
Especially these senseless passes between Fass and Westergaard, and then this throws from their half to Vardy when he's completely alone in the attack. So if you play closed football, play to the full. If you play open football, try to take the ball away. So be prepared to come back after a goal is conceded. So Leicester.
I was going to say, Dimitri. Sorry, but I was going to say, because you mentioned Fass. What defenders would you play then this week against Arsenal? Just the defenders.
On the previous program, I suggested this concept of these 3 defenders with Christensen, Okole, and Koulibaly, but I see that Root won't change this formation. I think he needs Okole because we don't have some alternative. For sure, Christensen will be playing, and we saw how Justin was really bad against Garnacho. So maybe he will put Koulibaly. I don't know. So then, and the second center back, I don't know who he will be putting. Maybe Fass, because there are.
Grab your shoes, Dimitri. You can play because you'll be better than the defenders we've currently got at Leicester.
yeah. You should play. You should. No, just. I was going to say, Neil, obviously, because you've obviously watched it back since. I mean, was Okole good? Or
he was good.
Was it just better than the shit we've had before? You know what I mean?
No, he was quite good. I mean, everyone's obviously going to talk about the goal line clearance, but Vestergaard cannot even get there to make an attempt at the clearance, yet alone making it. That's what pace will help you with. But it wasn't just that. He did a lot what was good. I think it's a really good point that Dimitri made about James Justin, although I have to say that watching the game back, it wasn't just his fault. Like, basically, every single player on our right-hand side was getting steamrolled by Garnacho. And we definitely felt it when Ndidi went off. So, Casey McAteer came on. He struggled. Bobby Reed struggled. El Khanous even tried to contain him. None of them could contain him. They were just like 2-on-1ing down that side. And that's basically how they won the game. But we'll look at that tomorrow. Luckily, Martinelli is actually out for a month. So they are a bit weaker, Arsenal. I think it'll be interesting because earlier in the season, I've got to say, they were fair play to them. They were amazing. They could have scored about 100 goals, it felt like, in that game, right? And if it wasn't for James Justin hitting that absolutely magnificent equaliser, what would have happened? But they don't look anywhere near as good. So I know, famous last words, but I feel I still think they'll win, but I think that it won't be as much as what it was earlier in the season where they actually look more like title winners back then. But let's see. But yeah, my question is, would you still play Justin or would you play Koulibaly, Dimitri?
I will play Koulibaly definitely, and maybe we should play 4-4-2. 4-4-2, just because for Vardy to have some support and pressing. Plus, the scheme is old but gold for the counter attacks. So
I've got to say, I hate Rude's system. Just throwing it out there. Why are we doing this stupid fullback joining attack? It didn't work under Cooper. It's not working under Rude. You don't have to play that way anyway.
How much has actually changed from Cooper, though? How much? What is different?
on the defensive side, they're more compact in the 4-4-2, but that has pros and cons. And one of the cons it has is that you actually mean that the wingers sometimes have more space and time on the whip to attack the fullback and come in. So in some ways, it's made us worse. And I don't know, we'll talk about that tomorrow, but I don't like it.
At least IU isn't playing 90 minutes every game, so that's the plus. Yeah, that's the difference. So also last time I didn't answer the question directly. So you asked which Ukrainians could play for Leicester. So unfortunately, because of the war, our football is in a very bad state. So the best players of our national team play abroad. So however, we saw the game of Plymouth against Liverpool. And Talavera played really great in defense. So I think English clubs can give some chance to young Ukrainians from Dynamo, Shakhtar Donetsk, Alexandria, and some other clubs. So the main thing is not putting them under the pressure like it was with Mudryk, when he was bought by the wrong team for the wrong sum of money and was expected to become the second Hazard. So
let me tell you, Dimitri, we have a viewer, Arthur, who is from Ukraine. So I don't know what this says, but can you see the comment below? This is what he said. I don't know what this says.
Артур, я бачу, Артур. Дякую, що підтримав.
Yeah. So what
we're just assuming they're not swearing at us in Ukraine, aren't we, Long? They could be like absolutely right.
I'm not alone from Ukraine. Yeah. Also, I was asked in the chat how this Ukrainian guy became a Leicester fan. So,
yeah, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, one more question. So it started in 2014. I accidentally found a brilliant video with plenty of own goals. Our true god of defense, Frank Sinclair. It was Frank Sinclair. I felt so sorry for Leicester that I wondered how the team was doing now. So after they won the championship and returned to the Premier League, and after the brilliant 5-3 win over MU, I started supporting them because I always supported underdogs. So in 2016, I had very big problems with my liver, so I couldn't get out of bed. That was terrible. But I watched all the Leicester City games on TV and took a lot of pills. But I can say that there were no better pills, no better pills than Vardy and Mahrez goals.
Yeah.
Love it.
Posters, I love it from that time. Yeah, so that was incredible. And so I was on demand, and they won the Premier League. So that was my start.
So Dimitri, thank you, Dimitri. You made us win the league. That's what I found out.
Dimitri, do you use X, Twitter?
Twitter, I have the account actually.
So
but
follow Blue. Yeah, follow Blue Tinted Glasses, right? And I am going to send out a pair of these for you, my friend. Okay, and then next time, in a couple of weeks, in a few weeks, you can wear these. Okay, so.
Well, thanks a lot.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for calling in 2 weeks in a row. Hopefully, we'll see you again next time. Okay, mate.
Yeah, let's see you next time on this program and on Twitter, on X. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Message on Twitter. Yeah, message on X. Thank you, Dimitri. Cheers, Dimitri. Okay, great call again from Dimitri. Quick little stop here for comments before we get Ethan in. Is Edouard more of a target man, and is that why Rue doesn't fancy trying him? I don't think he's a target man, is he, Anil?
No, but what I think it is, I was looking back at some of his videos at Celtic. He's a really good finisher, but the rest of his play isn't that good, and he doesn't press that much. So I don't think he's good at linking the play, and I don't think he's good at pressing the man. So I think for that reason, that's why both Cooper and Van Nistelrooy decided not to use him at all, really. And you have to say the few minutes he did get, he did look a bit slow and lethargic, although he wasn't much fit.
Yeah, Manny says, wear the glasses and the prize is a night out with Francis Claire La Manga. And finally, just quickly before we get Ethan in, don't know, man, why Edward hasn't played playing time like all our signings other than Bilal and Facundo game mostly been a waste, perhaps Coley. So I don't know. Look, I think Manny said it the other day, and I kind of agree with him now. I think just use him. just use Edouard, see what he can do, because he's really not had much of a chance, let's be honest. But anyway, up next, it is another caller from abroad, and this time it is Ethan. Here he is. How you doing, mate?
How's it? I'm so
good,
gutted after that freaking offside, man. I literally got home. It was like 70 minutes. They just equalized when I got home, so I was already like in shambles. Went, got my things settled down, and then they scored in the 4th minute. Absolutely broke me, but I'm happy that we get to at least focus on the league now. It's a tough run in the next couple games, but yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this, mate, because I have seen a few people online argue against this, but you know what everyone's been saying about is probably a good thing that we didn't go to extra time, because it's just extra minutes and more, the players are going to be more tired. Some people have said, nah, you can't say that. You want to go to extra time, try and get penalties, get through on the FA Cup. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I would have liked to go through. I think it's always nice when you can get a little cup run together. I think it does a lot for the fans and even for the players. So it's just something to get behind. So disappointed, but it's not the end of the world, It's not our season over. It's not like with Spurs, not doing anything. We still have the league to focus on. So it is what it is.
Yeah. A lot of talk at the moment, mate, Ethan, about Ndidi. Obviously, great performance first time back. Even Manny, who is the head of the Wilfred Ndidi fan club, even he predicted maybe Wilf wouldn't have a good game, a first good game back, but he was great, wasn't he, Ethan?
I didn't get to see him. I watched the highlights, and apparently, the whole game he was dominating, and I think he had the captain's armband, didn't he? So it shows that we missed a bit of his character, his leadership in the middle of the park. And any players now is like a new signing. So hopefully he can like rejuvenate, a very lethargic midfield, and hopefully bring out the best in Sumari and Bilal as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dawn says here, would it be nice to knock Man United out of the cup? And as that would always. When we did it the other year, we won the FA Cup, right? Luke Thomas, hell of a volley. I've just seen, by the way, Man United host Fulham in the next round of the FA Cup, so that's who we would have had.
Yeah, well, of course it would be good. And look, I don't know about you, Locks, but the thing that's frustrating is that this Man United team is literally the worst probably we've seen in our lifetimes. And yet, as it stands, we've played them 3 times this season and we've lost all 3. We are getting closer every time. Like this one was much more even. I think on another day we could have done it, but it's like we're playing them again in a few weeks, and if we got to beat them once, surely. They're there for the taking. They're really not that good. I mean, the difference is they had the individual quality there on the day to make the difference. But yeah, just those 2 times we finished 5th, they weren't that good either, and they still finished above us, didn't they? It's just I'm very frustrated by them.
Yeah. With the season in the league being doomed as it is, can boost the mood of the fans and players. I can never say no to the cup, no matter where we are in the league. I mean, that's it, isn't it, Ethan? Like, I get. I think a lot of people are thinking, well, we're not going to win the FA Cup, so focus on the league completely. But weirder things have happened, mate. Well, I think it's happened before, isn't it? A relegation and Wigan, right? Wigan won relegation.
Yeah.
Would you take that, Ethan? Would you take winning the FA Cup if it meant going down?
No. Imagine playing every Thursday and Saturday in the Championship. That's over 70 games. Not for me. But I'd always love a nice cup run, and another game gives opportunities to some of the players. It could be a throwaway game that. People like Edouard, the youngsters like Evans, Manga, they could come in and put in a shift that game. So, it's never, you don't want to lose games, but it's not the end of the world for me.
Yeah, I get you, mate. I tend to agree with you, to be honest, mate. Look, listen, Ethan, thank you so much for calling again, mate. You're here nearly every week now, so very much.
Before I go, it was reported, I think it was with like the Leicestershire news. They said we have 1 available slot in our Premier League team for a free agent. Now, I'm
Ooh.
hearing talks of Samu Castillo. He's a Spanish winger. But who would you guys like to bring in? Like position or player?
Oh, well, who's free agent?
I'll tell you
I
who's
don't
a free agent. Daniel Amati.
If Daniel Amate is the answer, I don't know. Well, I know what the question is already, but do you know what? I think I would go for the winger. Like I've been saying, a defender all through the transfer window, but maybe Okoli's enough. But I think we have to say that in that game against Man United, we can feel sorry for ourselves for that offside goal. But in that second half, we never tested their keeper once, did we? And it's Onana. He's not even the strongest. So I think we could do with a bit of more flair up there or just something different.
Just two players here that are out of contract, and two people might. I've just had a quick look. I've cheated. Two players here, and people might turn their nose up at both. Right, the first one, Ryan Kent. Not best, but it's a winger. The other one, Leicester, sticking with their theme of 33, 34-year-olds. I'm not talking about Craig Dawson, people. I am talking about the striker, Wissam Ben Yedder. He is a free agent. Get Ben Yedder in. Eh?
Do you know why he's a free agent?
Go on.
I won't say. You can go Google it, but it's not the best.
Oh,
it's a shame
really?
because he's actually a properly good player. I think he scored something like 20 goals in 5 or 6 seasons, every season in Spain. But unfortunately, I think he basically
Oh, okay. I have just read. Okay, no problem. Yeah, let's go with something. Yeah, no problem. He can go somewhere else. Okay. Ethan, thank you so much, mate. Make sure to call in next week as well. All right, mate. Very much appreciated.
All right. Cheers, lads.
Thank you, Ethan. Cheers. Okay. Anyway, right up next it's Doc. It's going to be Doc. Now, let me tell you something quickly here about Doc. Me and Doc are taking part in a Football Manager 2024 save with some of the viewers, actually, of Blue Tinted Glasses. DP in the chat here is one of them. I saw Arthur earlier from Ukraine. He's another. I'm not happy with Doc because he's Aston Villa. We span a wheel. He's Aston Villa. I'm Wolves, right? And I keep trying to sign players, and he keeps poaching them, and they all pick Villa over Wolves, obviously. So I'm left with all the rubbish ones, right? So I'm not happy with him, but we are playing again tonight. But let me tell you something, Neil. I did beat him in the cup final, the Carabao Cup final. So who's the real winner? Right, let's get Andreas in. Here he is.
I'm still fuming about that Carabao Cup final, by the way. It's absolutely ridiculous. We played each other back-to-back. First game in the Premier League, I lose 2-1. I got a red card 18 minutes in, and I gave away a penalty. Final, I gave away a penalty as well. I got absolutely robbed there by luck. It's unbelievable. But regardless, though, we are on here to chat Aston Villa against Wolves in our FA. It's the first time in ages I've been on the caller show, actually. Decided to jump back in for a change.
Nice one, mate. Nice one. Talk to us, mate, because we haven't spoken to you since Friday. I know you watched it with the guys. I mean, what did you make to the game?
I mean, it was two not brilliant sides, right? I think that's very clear. But at the end of the day, I'm a bit sad we didn't get that Monk debut. I thought if we went to extra time, there was a good chance, in my opinion, that he would have subbed on either Monk or Ndidi. I was hoping he would lean with Monk just because, why not? Sadly, that didn't come to fruition, right? And that's the biggest disappointment. I don't really care that we went out. I'm a bit frustrated in the way, right? Being robbed of a clear offside, and not just like a foot offside or a hand. This was a whole body offside, and that's a bit infuriating. But outside of that, I'm positive that Hermansen is getting some more fitness. He hasn't been the sharpest since coming back, right? But I do also think some of the goals that he has been goals where he can't do anything, even if it's Delasic or Ward or whatever. You can't do anything about those because it's either a bit of ping pong or a bit just of, the chance is so big that you're not expected to save them at the very least. But Ndidi, man, having him back is absolutely brilliant. Him and Soumaré will be absolutely key, not just for what they can contribute offensively, in particular Ndidi willing to run forward as well, attack the half space, right? Try and find that cross and help out the wingers, be that extra man they could need. But both him and Soumaré also, doing their due diligence in the defensive department and helping out our very shabby defense to look somewhat capable. And as long as they both stay fit, I do believe we have a chance. And as well. We've just gotten 1 month closer to seeing Ricardo Pereira back on the pitch. And if age and time hasn't caught up to him, I think those two will be a huge boost. In particular, though, Ndidi, he's the main one.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've obviously touched on it quite a lot, Anil, but I mean, we've said for the last, since he's been out the team, which was December.
Yeah.
We've said when he's back, it will be like a new signing for us, and it's only 1 game, I know, but it's proven to be the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, absolutely. I mean, think about how many more points we probably would have got, because when Rude first came in, we obviously had the new manager bounce, but the team did look good. And he was unlucky that Ndidi went off in the second half against Brighton. And since then, that plus Hermansen to lose them both around the same time, that's really quite vicious. So I don't know. I mean, if we're thinking optimistically, if we could get back to, because in those games, I mean, we might have got a bit lucky in both of those games, but the overall performances were so much better than the dross that we've seen recently. So yeah, look, I'm still not feeling confident, but I do agree that if we could keep all these lot together for the rest of the season, I think we actually do have a chance. Whereas if we don't have any chance whatsoever. So no pressure on Ndidi's shoulders, but, can he just save us, And yeah, I think the funny thing with Ndidi is individually, he maybe isn't even that good, but it just makes like the 3 or 4 people around him play a lot better. Again, I get those vibes of 2019, where I think it's no coincidence that season, James Maddison and Yuri Tillemans were on fire. And it's because they didn't really have to worry too much about the dirty work, because you had Ndidi just getting the ball back for them and getting them out of trouble. So simplifies your game. You can focus on what you need to do. Oh, it means El Canus gets the ball more often. Funnily enough, he plays better. That means the wingers, so he's just an important cog in the machine, isn't he?
Yeah, Ethan says here, Ndidi allows others to express themselves.
That's always good, yeah.
Duck, you watched the game, obviously. Yannick
Vestergaard. You're getting closer and closer, but you're dragging the goal too much. It's just
Vestergaard.
You're not like Vestergaard.
Okay, hold on.
That's
wrong. Vestergaard.
Yeah, that was all right. I mean, a bit of a Spanish on the R there, but outside of that, it was
he obviously missed out. I mean, Akoli came in for him. Akoli had a great game there. I mean, is that it now for Yannick this season? Do you think it has to be Akoli ahead of him and maybe one of the others, Fass?
I'd like to see Akoli and Yannick a chance together. I think they are probably the best that their strengths are so different from each other, right? Because Caleb's is this pace, physicality, and he's someone who's able to catch up to the faster guy, or at the very least the closest one at doing that job, right? Whereas on the ball, he is lacking. I mean, he looked very unsure on the ball, played the safe passes all the time, and that's where Vestergaard shines, right? That is his one key strength. So if they are able to cover for each other weaknesses and together make a somewhat competent defense, I think it could work. But then again, I thought Okoli had a good game. I, in particular, enjoyed his fighting spirit. I think that is one of the key things we're looking for in a relegation battle, right? Even if you aren't the best footballer on the planet, to see him in an FA Cup game, literally almost dying for the badge, right? Getting that goal line, just celebrating like he just scored a Puskás award-winning goal. Absolutely brilliant. From someone who's been left out of the team, only been here half a year. That is the mentality and the fight that we need. And I think he deserves a start simply just off the base of that, even if the rest of this game wasn't perfect. And on the ball, you could definitely see he's weaker than all our other defenders. He has something different. And I think at this point, when we're this down in the dumps, I want that to be tried.
Yeah, I hear you, Matt. I think I knew you would say Vestergaard and Okoli. Manny will give you a load of shit next time you speak to him, I'm sure. However, I mean, LCFC DP says Okoli and Dawson could save. I'm not sure on that. I mean, if you're going for someone of Dawson's pace, yeah, he joked around there earlier, didn't he? Yeah, I don't know. What did you make to? Let's end on this one, mate. What did you make to Thomas? Could he threaten Christiansen's place in the team?
I missed a bit of that Villa game, but I'm telling you here, if that's what people saw in the Villa game, I did in reviewing it with Anil. He did seem to have a good game against Villa, but he didn't drop a good game. I saw some people on Twitter proclaiming he put himself right back into the conversation. What conversation, mate? For being first on the bench? It was a horrific performance. I mean, multiple times he misjudged the ball more than Christiansen have done in his entire career. And I'm not saying this because I think Christiansen is 10 times better or anything. I know I have a sweet spot for him, and I'm aware of that in my judgment. But I'm used to flaming him. Thomas did not have a brilliant game by any means. He had a few decent crosses, some decent moments, but especially defensively, I mean, he looked all over the place. He's lucky to have some boobs right beside him, right, to help him out in his time of need.
Yeah, absolutely. Duck, mate, thanks as always for calling in, mate.
Thank
We're
you,
going to
man.
move on to the others now. I'll see you soon,
Yeah,
though.
good on
I'll
you.
see you
Cheers, mate.
soon. I'll see you. Yeah. Cheers, Duck. Thank you very much. And Neil, before we get in our next guest, which is Reese, it's been a while since we saw Reese. By the way, this is the order of play so far. So it's Reese, then it's Costa, then it's Tom, and then it's Jonno. So Sean
Oh my
says
word,
it
dream
wasn't.
team coming right up here, sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't that terrible, but both need selling. I don't know who he's talking about. Thomas, maybe Thomas and Christensen.
They might be talking about us locks. Let's hope not.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. To be fair, we've got a couple of people coming up who have hosted things before. We've got Tom, who's a first-time caller tonight. I know he's hosted stuff, and we've got Jonno as well, first-time caller. So yeah, we'll see. There might be places available soon if the viewers vote. Right, if they vote us up. Just quickly, Ndidi defense is so strong and so fast to close to the opponent. Dribbling through is not an easy job. He has the height to defend the head ball as well.
The last bit's the important bit. That's the biggest thing he gives you that actually can win the ball in the air.
Yes, 100%, mate. Right, I'm going to get in Reese now. It's been a while since we saw him. He's been, as a lot of us, he's been a bit down in the dumps recently about Leicester, and I don't blame him. So let's get him in. Hello, Reese.
How we doing? Can you hear me all right, by the way?
Yeah,
perfectly.
Sweet.
And he's not in his onesie. What's going on?
No, but he's in the Leicester City themed bedroom, it looks like, which is even better. I love it. He's living the dream, literally. Everything is Leicester related in the house.
He's been
Yeah, I've binned it for now. Right. So I've got two really, I'd like to say good questions. So I've got two scenarios for you lads. So we stay up, we keep John Rudkin, but we lose Rude, or we go down, John Rudkin goes and we keep Rude. Which one would you pick?
Oh God. I mean, I'd still say stay up. Well, I don't know. It's hard because obviously if you go down, I mean, this is the problem, innit? I mean, out of all of them, neither of them options are the most likely, nil. The most likely is we go down, we lose Rude, and we keep Rudkin. That's what's probably going to happen.
Maybe, but your thing about that George friend last week, I did some more research on that. There's got to be something about that. That they might bring in a Patsy DOF or something like that. We will see. I'll answer Reese's question. I actually think it would be better for us if it was truly that Rudkin got moved out and we had like a proper DOF. I actually think that would be the better thing to do. It would mean short-term pain, but it's like the only way you really fix things like that is you need to have like a long-term view. And it's like even this season, I felt we've just we'll just get Steve Cooper in for one season and then we can get a proper manager in later. It's like you keep thinking short-term and you're going to get caught out. You're better off. And I think that's a big difference between Vichai and Top. Like Vichai, I think, was more like we're going to do it for the long term, which has a benefit. That's how I would answer it. But I can definitely appreciate where other people would be like, "Are you mad? No way!" We just need to stay up at all costs.
See, the thing is for me, the thing is for me, Anil, in terms of Rude, I think he's in a bit of a pickle because if he walks away, that's the second time he's walked away from a job, and that's going to go on his CV. Yeah. And I do think with a better director of football who's got a long-term philosophy for the club, like a 3-4 year plan, let's say, I do think he would be up for moulding young players in. And I've actually wrote a team down for next season because we're going down. Let's not beat around but we are going to get relegated, and I've accepted that. But I've written this team down, and it's not a bad little squad, I don't think, for the Championship. So I've got Jakob in goal, Wuyo at right back. I've got Coley and Nelson as centre backs. Luke Thomas as left back, Oliver Skip, and I'm not sure about the other CDM, maybe Braybrook or Hamza. On the right, you've got Abdul, because let's be honest, we're not going to sell him because he's coming back from a nasty injury and no one's going to touch him. You got Wanya Marcel and is that Jeremy Monga, whatever his name is, that young talent. You got Will Alves as a cam, Casey McAteer on the left, and you got Dakar up front. I don't think that's a bad Championship side at all.
No, I hear you. I made a comment last season in the summer before we had the whole Championship season, and I did something similar where I put our squad depth together, and our second team, I said, that's playoffs. That's playoffs. Now, the more I saw of certain players coming into the team to cover and things like that, I wasn't so sure on that, especially with the capitulation at the end. I mean, the championship is a grueling league, and it's a lot of games. I think the problem we're going to have if we go down a nil isn't really the first team quality; it's the squad.
Yeah.
Because we are not going to have. It's a transfer embargo. We're probably not going to be able to improve the overall squad, and we will have people like Jake Evans on the bench. And now I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Of course, for the future, that's a good thing. But you can't rely on just kids to get you up in the championship.
Alan Hansen there, Locks, with Man United, and we all know what happened that season. So.
That's true. But you're right about Fatawu. Obviously, we're going to lose Bilal. Obviously, we'll lose Hermanson. I don't know. Yeah. I don't think personally, and I'll hand this to Anil, I don't think we will come up first time if we go down.
Yeah, I would probably brace myself for that as well. But you know what? I actually even said this with Enzo when we had him, which is that I actually would have accepted not going up the first time as long as I saw like a clear progression from the season previous, and we're playing like a style of play and you're developing players. Because like it could be like, to be honest, if you look at Ipswich this season, I actually think they might even agree with this, that they came up too quick. Whereas if they had another season in the championship, they might be better prepared. Like I actually think if Dini Day goes the other way and Knockout puts his penalty in, I think we get relegated the next season. But instead we stayed up, and that meant that we won the Premier League. That said, it is a bit depressing that we're all talking about, oh, we might have a good championship team. Like that shouldn't be the case, should we? You know, we're in the Premier League for 10 years. We were battling the big boys. We're knocking noses out of joint. It's a bit depressing to think this way. That said, I got to say, I actually enjoyed the championship season because for most part, we were winning lots of games. We were seeing new faces. We refreshed the team. We got rid of a lot of players that clearly gave up. And it was nice to see people who actually seemed to give a shit, part of my language, play for the team. So it could be good. But I actually do agree with what you're saying there, Reese. I think if you look at it as well, Leicester, traditionally, I think if you average out all the positions, we finished either 20th or 21st out of all the clubs in England. So that means that over a matter of time, we're just inevitably going to be, we will always be competitive in the championship. Yeah, we might have some odd seasons where we're not. We even went down once, but I think overall we would be. And I think the academy plus the catchment area, we should always be able to get good players. Locks, you're right to call out the embargo. I don't know what will go on there, but I have a feeling that if we make enough player sales, we should at least be able to get some players in on loan. But I agree. I don't think I'd expect us to go up first time of asking, although I think it miite be more competitive than you think it is. I think we could get playoffs, for example, but playoffs is a lottery.
Yeah, I think with the whole transfer embargo, you can make signings if you can prove it has to be. It all has to be approved by the EFL. You have to show them all the books.
Yeah,
you'd have to invite them in and say, "Look, this is why we can do it." And the chances are we probably won't be able to do it. You know,
I don't know. Can't Top just go, I own one of the biggest businesses in Asia? What are you talking about, mate? Because normally you get the embargo because you've come out of administration, and it's like blue tinted glasses own Leicester City. And they're like, Locks, I want to see the receipts from the Gregs you bought this morning. Can you actually afford to buy this exciting winger? But I mean, Top's like playing polo, isn't he? On his equestrian course, he's got no problem with the money.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, in terms of that squad that I've just read out, I'm not bothered if we go back up straight. If we don't go back up, I want to see a long-term plan in place with a young group of hungry players that can be built up. Built up muscly and grow into men, and then we find, like we did the first time round. We weren't ready to go up when we were playing Watford in the playoffs when Knockout missed the penalty. We weren't ready. The season after that, we ready. We brought in a few recruitments. We've just built over time. We need to go back to how we were, and I want to see a complete revamp of the team. Oliver Skipp, I wouldn't mind him in the championship because he got championship player of the season one year. All these young players that I've just named out, I want to see. I'd be excited to go down and watch that team because they'd be hungry, they'd be fearless, and they'd have a go. All right, they will lose games, but I want to see a team that will work their asses off and try the hardest, for the club, and these lads would, in my opinion. That's just my opinion anyway. But yeah,
mate, honestly, fingers crossed. There are people who are remaining positive. I've seen a couple in the chat. That's fair enough. I'm in the same boat as you. I think we are going down. Maybe it's a bit of copium as well. I mean, just say, yeah, we're going down. We're going down. Obviously, hoping for the best, but
yeah,
I don't give as much of a chance, mate. So hopefully we can come up, and hopefully we get rid of Rudkin. I don't have faith in either of them two things, to be honest with you.
Project Reset next season. Project Reset. It's time for a whole new clear out at the top. In terms of, I watched your interview. Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to keep you waiting. I watched your interview with Rob Tanner, and he made an interesting point about Sue Wheeling. I thought, oh, she's involved with the club, but she's not. She's involved in the business side, and apparently it's doing really well. So I've changed my mind on, you know, what I think of her. But in terms of the football side, it needs to be a change. I'm happy for Top to take a step back, just put the money up and give it to people who have got football knowledge and know exactly how to build a long-term project. That's what I would like to see.
Rob Tanner actually told me off air that the last time Susan Whelan actually had any involvement with something football related was the sale of Harry Maguire. So that was a good 6 years ago. Okay. 7 years ago. 6 years? 5 years, something like that.
2019. 2019.
There you go.
So,
there you go. 6 years ago. And she did a good job of that, didn't she? 80 million. So, and apparently she was close to Ed Woodward and all that. So, Reese, mate, thank you for calling in, mate. Much appreciated. Make sure you call in next Monday because we might have some. We'll talk about the protests that are obviously taking place this weekend and stuff.
I'll be there. So, I'll be there with me. I will. I will be. I want change at the club. I want change.
You'll be at the protest.
Yes, I will be at the protest.
Mate, if you can take a few clips, mate, send them my way and we'll have a look at them.
I will do, mate. Don't you worry. Cheers, lads.
Reese, mate. Thank you. See you in a bit. Caller cut off, by the way. Everybody who's called in, you're safe. You're going to get on. Nobody else. Make sure to call in next week if you've missed it.
The window has closed. No more callers.
Yeah, at least we've got some people in the door. Here is Costa. What's going on, Costa?
How's it going, guys?
All good, mate.
Get your blue tinted glasses on. Costa's back. Reese, we're staying up. Locks, we're staying up. All right, I'll take them off now. Stop the bullshit. Of course, we want to stay up. But you know, is it likely? I looked at something on Facebook. Supercomputer said we need 32 points. Can we do that?
32? I mean,
32 is what it...
Oh, it had us in 17th place, didn't it, the supercomputer?
You see in it, yeah.
Well, the supercomputer last time we got relegated also had us to finish above the relegation zone at this stage. Don't know if you knew that.
In the computer.
In the computer. So I'm going to speak about the elephant in the room because you remember the comment because obviously you answered it, Locks. And that is corruption. No one likes to think there's corruption in football. I hate that feeling to think that somebody's actually controlling everything. But we're never going to be sure with this because I feel even though we brought VAR in, okay, then we, I say we, but whoever controls the officials, the FA, made it even more complicated. And I felt like so many things could have been made more simpler, more clarified, but yet we brought all this technology in and made it worse. Is it ever going to get better? I don't believe it will. I think it might not be full-blown corruption, but I do feel there is bias towards the big clubs, and along with PSI exactly the same way, where a middle-sized, ambitious club has been knocked on the head 10 times. It's not a good feeling, but Locks, it's got to be there. It is there.
Well, it's not there for me, mate. I'm sorry. It's not there for me.
No, don't be sorry. We're here for opinions, and I respect yours, of course.
Yeah. Look, when Kieran Maguire, football finance expert, I'm sure everyone's heard of him. He was on the channel earlier in the year, well, last year, and he said, you know, that he went to a Sky Sports event at the summer after we won the league, and apparently all the big bosses were fuming that Leicester City won the Premier League. But the thing they were most fuming about was that a couple teams missed out on Champions League. That was the main one that they were so angry about. And you know, I'm not saying that it's you know, I mean, we know it benefits the big clubs. We know that's true. That's just facts. I'm saying, you know, we don't know whether it's intentional or not. You'd like to hope it's not. Same with VAR. You'd hope it's not. But again, I actually think it comes down to something that probably cannot be helped. And that is subconsciously, Anil, that lino at Old Trafford, 75,000 fans, he knows that if he rules it off for offside and he was wrong, he would get shit. But if he rules but if he rules it onside, he's like, okay. I mean, it's Leicester. Now, I'm not saying intention again. I think it's more subconsciously. I feel like there's a subconscious where officials do favor, and like some big high-profile footballers have come out and like literally said this. Like, yeah, we know that. I mean, Danny Simpson said it about Clattenburg. Danny Simpson should have been sent off in one of the games. And Danny Simpson said that Clattenburg came up to him when I've not sent you off because I want you to win the league. Clattenburg said that to Danny Simpson. That was obviously in favour of us. So we know it happens, and it's not good enough. What's your take on it all, Anil?
I don't think in that game it was corrupt, but I do actually agree with Costa that it clearly is. I mean, the Premier League was started because at the time the top 5 or 6 teams in Division 1, as it was called, I'm going to sound like a right boomer here, but Costa will probably back me up. Basically, what was proposed to them is they said the English game compared to the revenue that is being made in Italy, but specifically America, is you're missing out on an exponential amount of income because the way that you've got to set it up. So we propose this, do it the American model where it's all like pay-per-view and you set it up like this and you make all this extra money. And then basically the top 6 teams, especially at the time, they all realized that they were missing out on a ton of revenue. So it's always been slightly geared towards certain teams. As it happens, though, some of those teams that originally as part of that top 6, I believe, was like Aston Villa, but they sort of faded away, and then other teams like Chelsea and Man City bought their way in. But you can see it that the league is definitely structured to give some teams an unfair advantage, and this has definitely been proved in the last 4 or 5 years. I think we're a big example of that. Like, you try and push, you get punished, and you get destroyed for it, right? Whereas the other teams get away with it. Like, it's not fair. It's like our owner can also spend money, right? But you can't spend the money because of these arbitrary rules that you've got there. Whereas these other teams can get away with spending 100 million on Jack Grealish or 60 million on Calvin Phillips. Like, Leicester can't even spend that amount of money on one player, but you've got an owner that's rich enough. It's not a kind of case of that. So there's definitely something there. Where should this all go? Look, I think that might get more exposed over time because everyone knows that like the PSR rules aren't, fit for purpose. At the same time, would you really want a league where it's just billionaires throwing money at each other? I don't know. Maybe it would be better. I don't know. It would actually make because if we don't, that seems to be what the Saudi leagues are doing. But there's definitely not an agenda, but there's definitely certain clubs are looked after more than others. That's a fact. So if you don't see that, then the thing you think you're wearing not just a blue tinted glasses, but your red tinted glasses or whatever club it is clearly true.
Bang on, Anil. Also, Locks, obviously, what you think, you may be right. Even though me and Anil agree, no one's going to know for sure because they're not going to come out and say it, are they? Changing the subject, Manny. Now, I've never got to speak to Manny, but some people think I'm in love with Manny. Everything he says...
Who isn't?
Everything he says on this channel, I'm always commenting, Manny's right, Manny's right. I know you're listening, Manny, and you're smiling. I'm a super fan of Manny's because what he says and what he really goes on about is players that have the elements of, the naturals, strength, speed, height, all of that. Of course.
Oh, we've lost you.
I'm still there.
Okay, you're here.
No, you lost me for 1 second. Yeah. I think you know what I'm on about, and Manny's bang on right. But of course, they need to know how to play football straight after, because without that, you're not a footballer. But we've been hit hard with avoiding the fact that we were too slow, and I think we've lost a good 10 points because of it. Vestergaard being the main one, and pairing him with the clown, which I'm never going to like, but. He's not as slow as Vestergaard. You know who I mean, don't you, Locks? Fast. Who else? Who else is not? Then when we look at our wingers and we don't like it, no one likes those wingers because they're not pacey, because they're not going to stretch the play, because they're not going to fire forward. It's just dull up front, dangerous in the back. And if you remember correctly, right, first game when we won the league against Sunderland, I was there and we all questioned the lineup, because it wasn't our best team, but what it was our fastest team, right? And that includes the likes of Delat. I wasn't a fan, but he did get better and better, and they were all pacey, and we just went. I think it's what's his name said, Ranieri. Yeah, it like bullets. He said, because that's what the Premier League's all about. obviously you can be fast and think slow. So you've got to be a think faster as well. Think faster. Is that a thing? Right. You've got to be able to think fast as well. And also the vital passes. We had absolutely everything in that season. And I can't help but watch it over and over again. I am obsessed. I love that season. If I've had a bad day, if I've had a bad week, if I'm in anything, I will put, I've got it on a DVD, but it's on YouTube anyway. And I would watch it and then say, remember when we did that? Yeah, that's not going to go. So my last point, do you want to speak lots?
No. I've got something to say afterwards. So you go now. Yeah.
No, say it now because the last thing it diversifies again. So you go.
No, I was only going to say, no, honestly, you say your thing and I'll say it. It'll make sense.
So,
don't worry, mate. Go.
I sent Locks my wish team on X. And the reason why I've said this all through the season, because we lack a bit of pace in the back and it's never going to be completely fixed. And now, ever since we lost for Fatawa at the beginning of the season, I always said we should play wing backs. Now, is it my favourite formation? No, it ain't, but it's the formation that will keep us up. And that is really strong, in my opinion. Right? So that's 3 centre backs, 3 in midfield, 2 up front, wing backs covering the wings and the fullbacks, hence their wing backs. Yeah. I think this will work. My only question with the team I sent you, and if I don't know if you want to tell the people what that team is or if you want to show it, I could say it if you want. But,
I'll tell you here. So Costa's gone with Henderson.
Did I say that wrong?
Hermanson. Oh, sorry, yeah. Hermanson. A back 3 of Fasicoli, Justin, and then Victor and Woyo as the wing backs, and Ndidi, Bilal, Soumare, Buonanotte, Vardy.
Yeah, there was a question on that that team, with which one will be in the back 3 from Justin and Woyo. And even that I had but look, it was I'm not the manager. I wasn't for certain. But what I mean is we should always, as we did in the Martin O'Neill's days and how we stayed up with that team, I don't know, and we did so well, is play from what strengths we've got. Right? When Van Nistelrooy first came, he said he wasn't stubborn. Do you think that's still the case?
I'll let Anil answer this one because he
is stubborn because I say he keeps doing this system that I don't think works. I quite like your team, Costa. We'd never know. The proof is in the pudding until you've seen it play. It might be better, it might be worse. But yeah, I just think that all season long, this idea of the fullback joining the attack, they just inevitably get knackered. So there's either a gap in behind them or they're not good at supporting it. Whereas the structure that you've suggested, I feel, given our lack of strengths that we have across the team, might give you more of a fighting chance. Ultimately, I think it would come down to the wing backs, though, right? Because they have to provide some quality service. Are they good enough? Absolutely. We don't know. But I mean, I would like to see it. It's like, actually, that's what Ruben Amorim plays at Man United, doesn't he? But also Oli Glasner at Crystal Palace. I think we do actually have 2 strong number 10s up there. It would mean Jordan Ayew's not in the starting lineup. Always a plus point, if you ask me. Yeah, I mean, but who knows? You could try it and it could look even worse. But I do think that you asked Locks, is he stubborn? I think he is being stubborn. And the results aren't at the moment, backing the things. Who knows, though? You get a few wins or something, then we change our minds. But at the moment, I just feel that we are seeing, just like Cooper, the same problems every game. Yeah. And we're not seeing a way out of it.
Yeah, but Anil, he says he's not stubborn, and I agree with you, he is. Cooper actually wasn't stubborn. But that was more of a case he didn't have a clue what he was doing, though.
Yeah. Well, maybe Rude doesn't know what to change it to. Who knows? I mean, he has been known to change it up in the past. So, look, Costa, this is what I want to say to you, mate. We've not got time tonight, but next Monday, mate, if you call in, I will get you on at the same time with Manny to have a little chat with him. How about that? Let's do it.
My hero.
Costa, thanks, mate. We'll see you very soon. Do it.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers. Okay, up next is first time caller Tom. By the way, everybody, we are now on. Let me just get a live little check here. We are on 14,953. So 47 subscribers to go. If you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe. If you're watching on Twitter, head over to YouTube, say hello in the live chat. But more importantly, get your comments in. Let's head over to Tom. Tom, what's going on, mate?
Yes, boys. All right.
All good, all good.
Good.
Tom reached out to me actually recently on the DM, so I told him to call in. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good man. Well, hopefully I can maybe get you to 15,000. I think I've got 62 subscribers on YouTube, so we can make that 15k.
Lovely stuff. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
was going to say, Neil, I'm a bit of an undercover United Stan fan. I think just because their club's the only one that's in a bigger shambles than ours. So I happened to be watching them the other day, and you popped up, which I was not expecting, and you did very well, mate. And you were getting lots of compliments from the United fans after. So well done for that.
Thanks a lot. I've got to thank Locks for putting me up for that, but you could probably tell I was a bit nervous. I just didn't shut up. I was like, shit, there's probably like 2 million people watching this. I better sound smart. So I just completely overdid it. But I mean, I've said to Locks that whether you like Man United or not, that's actually a very good channel. I think the way that they do things is something that we aspire to. So I'm hoping that one day Locks gets his smooth studio layout somewhere by the River Soar. That's the dream one day.
Yeah.
We just need some more fucking fans. I mean, they've got
that's the issue, isn't it? But yeah,
if we improve, then maybe we'll get there. Who knows?
Yeah. Talk to me, mate. I mean, you said you saw a bit of the United stand. I mean, what did you make to the United game?
I thought there was good signs. I thought also just to touch on to add to the Manny love. I think that one thing that he said the other day that did stick with me was the kind of physicality and pace and agility that you need to be in the Premier League. And I think what we saw against United was Ndidi in for Winks. You got Akoli in for Vestergaard. If you bring Koulibaly in for Thomas, like immediately those three players, you've all of a sudden you've got a bit more physicality and a bit more strength and youth in the team. Like Winks, Thomas, and Vestergaard, you take those three out, where we looked a bit like a different team. So I think there's positive signs there. I think as well, and I'd say that for Daka as well. I think that Daka, we all love Vards and he has done well this season, but Daka does add a bit in terms of the pressing game and the energy that I think can help us. So yeah, I think there are positive signs. The other thing I was going to say is I think the thing I think with Akoli especially that I couldn't understand like in the first part of the season is that I didn't think he'd done that badly in those first few games where he was playing. He didn't set the world alight, but I don't think he was that bad. And I think that it's not just a profile player in terms of physicality and stuff, but it's also like we need to get back to buying players with a sell-on value, playing them, which is what increases their value, and fucking selling them. And like I love Fatawu. I'd want, I wouldn't want to sell him. Hermansen's great, but at the end of the day, we're in the shit with PSR. We have been for years now. It's getting really tiring, the whole situation. And this like embargo that's looming over us, I don't know whether we'll get it or not. I don't know, but we need to just get back to. It's not rocket science, is it? You buy players under the age of 23, you play them for a couple of seasons, and then you fucking sell them to a bigger club. If you buy 4 of those, if one of them goes right, and you like a Fofana, and you sell them for 80 mil, you've already covered the cost of the other ones. Even if the other ones are all shit and it doesn't work, you've already covered the cost. If 2 of them work, boom, you're in profit. And we had the perfect model for that. And I don't know where it went. Like, why did we move away from that? And this summer, El Khanous has been a shining light, an absolute shining light. What a buy he was. And inevitably, he is destined for big things, and we should be looking for 50 mil plus for him. Whereas the other signings, not only are they not great footballers, but they don't add any value to the team, like to the club. So that's what I want to see, and I want to see that moving forwards, man. Like, we need to get back to that model of selling 1 or 2 players every summer, reinvesting it in youth, and the cycle continues. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, no, I think that's something that I think pretty much everyone on the channel has been in agreement with that. The only person who didn't agree with it was Brendan Rodgers, it seems. He's the only one but you can understand it to a certain degree. Obviously, when you're trying to push for top 4 and you finally want to hit it, maybe one year you do need to risk it, and we did risk it, and it backfired. It's as simple as that. But it looks like we can go back that way, doesn't it, Neil? Because we've got the next 2 or 3 seasons covered. I mean, if we stayed up, you'd hope we would keep Bilal. Hermanson's going. We know that this summer. So there's 1 year. If we stayed up, maybe Bilal next year, and then maybe Fatawu. Who knows? But we do need to get back to that.
I think in general, I think there's a good comment here, though, which says it's not that simple, which I agree with. There's like a bit of a combo with it. But I do largely agree that it's just like playing Football Manager, isn't it? That's the way to do it. You buy all the young wonder kids. They don't all come off, but the few that do, you reinvest it. And then eventually your team is stable. You're more towards the top end of the Premier League. You're finishing 5th to 7th. Then you say, oh, you know what? This season, instead of buying that player who's 23, we'll buy the player who's 26, 27 and in their prime. Right now, they're going to add those 10 or 15 goals that we need, and then maybe you can win some trophies. That's how it should be done. So I agree. And look, I do sometimes think that it is useful to have some experience in the team because dealing with pressure situations, but it has to be said that the ones that we've supposedly got for that have completely backfired. So maybe you shouldn't, because as you say, then you're stuck with these players. You can't get rid of them. Whereas at least these young, hungry players, like, again, did you see how much Bilal was feeling himself in Old Trafford? He's done that twice. I know why, because he's thinking to himself, I want to play here one day. And he's good enough to do it. So good. I mean, even if he's only with us for a season or two, if he does fantastic and he goes, like, even for Fofana, he left like a prick in the end. But at the end of the day, he was pretty good for Leicester, you've got to say, right? Yep. He didn't really let the team down in terms of his performances on the pitch. So better that way than, I think Tielemans leaving, even though he did so much for us, felt a lot more sour grapes to me because he just almost gave up by the end. So yes, we definitely need to get back to that model, at least in the short and mid-term. Maybe long-term, we can hope that one day we get back to it, but we have to go that way for sure.
Tom, let me end it on this one, Tom. I want to ask you, mate, what chance do you give us of staying up this season?
I fluctuate, man. I fluctuate between optimistic and we haven't got a fucking hope in hell. And I don't know. I look at the fixtures and I'm like, where are the points coming from? I just don't know, man. But luckily, there are 3 other teams that are pretty shit. But Wolves have got Cunha, and like he can single-handedly, and he has been this season, single-handedly keeping them up. And like we need someone to step up to the plate. And maybe it is El Kanous. I don't know, but I just think Wolves are stronger than us. They've got more avenues to get in points, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough.
Well, we've not got too long to wait and find out, mate. Only, what is it now? How many games are left? 13, 14?
Yeah,
I mean, the Great Escape season, I remember being thoroughly depressed for most of that season and also thinking we didn't have a chance. And I remember when we beat West Ham, which was the first win of that Great Escape. Yeah. Andy King was it, like towards the end, and I remember him scoring that goal and basically saying, "Wow, it's pointless and it's too late anyway." Like, and it's like, I mean, great, we won a game, but it's not going to happen. And obviously, what happened. I can't see that happening with this team, but you never know, man. You never know. There's always hope.
There's always hope, mate, but it's the hope that kills you, as we all know. Tom, thank you, mate, for calling in. Much appreciated. We'll get you back on again soon as well, mate. All right.
Yeah, great to have you with
Tom.
us, yeah.
Absolutely. Right.
I didn't even ask him who I'm supposed to triple captain this week because he's really good at fantasy football. So maybe if you can drop it in the things. Hopefully he doesn't say Leandro Trossard or something like that just to rhyme me up the wrong way. But yeah, get it in there, Tom. Who am I supposed to triple captain this week? Thank you.
Put it in the chat. Oh, there we go. Yeah. He says Nwaneri.
No. Bin him off. I'll take it all back.
Right, he's waited so long. Let's get him in. Here is Jonno. Some people will recognize him. What's going on, Jonno?
Evening. How's everyone?
All good, thank you. All good. Talk to me, mate. The Arsenal game. I'm sure you saw it. What did you make to it? It was an interesting one, wasn't it?
The Arsenal game?
Man United. Sorry, mate. Sorry, Man United.
I mean, it was... Can I swear?
Yeah. Go for it, mate.
It was the shit against the shittest. That's what it was. Awful game. We were on top. We did control the game, but it was just we were better than a poor side. But I'm just so annoyed how bad the refs, not just VAR, but the officiating is in this country. Like not just in this country, but at the top level, like in the Championship, I can't remember a decision that was that bad ever. I can't see that. I can't see an offside that bad ever in the championship. Even this season, I've not heard of anything that bad, and it's just annoying. Like even if we went to extra time, I don't think we would have won, but we didn't have the opportunity to find out. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, we've spoken a lot today, mate, and on Sunday and Friday night about Wilfred Ndidi. What did you make to his performance? Because as we've said so many times, it does feel kind of like a new signing, and I think he, any hope that we do have of staying up, he is a big part of that.
When we took off Ndidi for Winks, that's when we lost the game. I thought Winks was. I've not seen a sub make that bad of a performance in a long time. Every pass went astray. He couldn't keep the ball. Horrific performance. That just shows how. And massive shout out to Samare. This season has been unreal. Those two will be if we do stay up, those two are the pinnacle for us to stay up. I can't think of any other players that could keep. Well, two important players that can keep us up, apart from those two.
Yeah,
So
and Ricardo to come back as well, mate.
I mean, Luke Thomas again. He was getting battered on that wing, and when we got teams coming up like Chelsea, Arsenal coming up, he's going to have no chance against them. Even if Arsenal's attack is poor, they're still going to destroy Thomas. So him coming back is good, but I wouldn't start Ricardo. I'll keep him on the bench and keep Christensen and Justin in the first team. But it's good to have that backup if something happens to Justin or Christensen.
Yeah, I mean, Anil, we've spoken a lot about the lino and the decision at the end, but I didn't think I thought the referee was poor all game, and I did hear, and I said it on the stream at the time, so this got Manny riled up, that the ref was from Salford. I don't know if that was true. I told Manny it was true. I saw a few comments saying it, but what did you make to the refereeing performance in general? Because I thought, I mean, even the free kick, the handball leading to the free kick.
Yeah, the whole thing was awful. Like, it wasn't a free kick in the first place. I know what you're supposed to do. Have no arms. You kick a ball that hard at someone. What you're going to do is I'm meant to just disappear. It's just a shambles. All the officiating in this country is just abysmal. You don't hear about these controversies on the Bundesliga or the Liga or Serie A. It's just horrific. And I know it's only a cup competition, but I loop back to earlier comments saying about different club sizes, and these slight decisions go against the smaller clubs. There's only top six clubs left in the competition, Man City and United. I guarantee you where decisions are going the next few weeks for them. They do not want another Leicester win in the FA Cup. So yeah. I think the referee in that game was poor.
Anil, referees in general, but specifically the United game.
Well, first, let's just say welcome, Jonno. Great to have you on the channel. Very good to see you. Yeah, I agree about. Firstly, I'll come to ref in a minute, but that decision at the end was honestly shocking. There's literally, you could just see it all across social media. People, like half their team was offside. Like at first, I was like so angry that it went in. Like I couldn't believe it. And then when I saw the replay back, I couldn't believe it, but not for the reason that I thought it was. I was about to give Samare Peltons. Like, no, Samare's like. They're 2 yards off Samare. The reason he's not running back is he's surely thinking this is the most offside goal I've seen in my life. And yes, that also the free kick. But there were many instances throughout the whole game. Of course, you normally get the rub of the green in Man United at Old Trafford, don't you? But yeah, I'll pass back to you, Jonno. But I do have to say that you're right. And actually, it's interesting you mentioned Serie A because for years they also had a lot of issues with their referees. And you're right, you don't really hear about it these days. Even VAR, that was a big problem over there. They've cleaned up a little bit. And if you watch a game on the zone or whatever for Serie A, you'd be surprised how high quality it is. And yeah, you're almost like, hang on a minute. I thought this was supposed to be the league that was a bit Mickey Mouse in terms of the refereeing decisions. But it's the Premier League. And why they don't invest in the refs to make them better, because it'll make the viewing experience better. Don't understand it.
Yeah. But what's really frustrating is that for the first time in many games, that's the first time we actually had a defensive line. With a defensive line perfectly for the first time in God knows how long, we got punished. We got punished for it. I think we just can't win. But when you watch,
you're right.
I watched some of the Super Bowl last night. I do not remember or know any of the refs' names. None. Not one. And they didn't... all they said was, that's a foul on that player. No player argued. They moved on. They accepted the punishment. Why can't that happen in this country?
Well, it
Why
happens in rugby as well, doesn't it? It happens
does.
in rugby. They command a lot of respect, the referees in rugby. So
Why can't referee walks onto the pitch? I know if it's Anthony Taylor, I know if it's Michael Oliver, but when I watch a tennis
David
match,
Coote.
David
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. You don't need to go there. Don't need to go
it's,
there.
it's just shambolic. But I don't want the refs to ruin the game anymore. It's just bad.
Yeah, mate, I totally agree with you. Jonno, mate, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for calling, mate. I'll send you the link as well in the future, but appreciate you calling, mate. All right, we'll speak to you soon.
No problem. See you guys.
Cheers, Jonno.
See
Thanks so
ya.
much, Jonno, for calling in. Right, finally, it is time for, can anybody guess? Here comes the Manny. Manny. Here he is. It's Manny. What's going on, mate?
Good evening, all. Hey,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised your head can fit in frame after all the compliments you've been getting.
I was going to
set
say,
that up. I set that up beautifully.
how much did you
didn't I?
send to Costa through PayPal to get that?
You know what? People per hour cost as cheap as chipses. That's what it is. But I just want to say massive thank you to Costa. Obviously, the man love 4 days before Valentine's Day was off the charts. Haven't had a Valentine's Day card since my mum gave me one in about 1991. So any kind of love around this time is much appreciated because I know the wife won't be giving me any at all. Thanks to Tom too, and welcome to Jonno. Just like you guys said, fantastic to everyone.
Yeah, mate, totally agree. Yeah, big shout out to Jonno. Fast Twitch Fibers said, I'll tell you what, Manny. I'm going to do something now, which is we don't normally do it, but as you're the last caller, I want you to pick out one point that someone has made on the show today, and we'll just touch on that and get your thoughts on it, mate.
Ooh, well, I liked a point Tom made about the transformation in our team when we suddenly change Vestergaard out, Akoli in, left back potentially out, Koulibaly in, and Ndidi in for wings. We are slowly starting to transform what our team makeup is. The problem we've still got is the wingers, of course. I'm sure we've mentioned that to death now. But I can see something. Suddenly our midfield trio, Sumare, Ndidi, and Bilal in front, you think that is pretty useful in this league. Like that can hold its own. That is not a Premier League midfield that should be going down, right? So Akoli in the back, and I just want to focus on Akoli for a second. How much did we love that celebration after
the United fans didn't love it. I don't know if you've seen seen it on Twitter? It's ridiculous. They're idiots. There's some guy doing a thread about why it's so disgraceful that and how it was karma that we lost because Akoli celebrated a goal line clearance. I'm like, what? Yeah.
No, this is a guy who had rumors about him and his boots, rumors he's going back to Italy. He wasn't settling. The guy comes in his first game in however many. It's been like 12 games since we've seen him or something like that. I don't know how many, apart from the cup game, I suppose. And the guy was brilliant. That clearance was superb. Just the pace, the anticipation to get back, and then the celebration to want it so much. Yeah, I mean, you got to love that stuff. I mean, that's like leadership material, which we've been lacking throughout our team. But not only that, he was quick enough to get there. He's 6'4", but the man can move. He can move. So I suddenly feel much more optimistic in terms of our centre backs. Now we've got Ndidi back. I feel more optimistic about our midfield. That's when the optimism turns to shit. And I start to get a bit more worried about our attacking sense, of course. But some interesting points have been made tonight. Changes in formation. I think we'll probably end up going into that this week. 3-5-2s, 3-4-3s, variations.
I don't think we'll see one.
I tell you, if we're struggling for wingers, how about we don't play wingers? And we try and compress the centre and overload the midfield.
That's 3-4-2-1, isn't it? You don't have to have wingers if you play that way.
That's definitely worth considering. I think it might depend largely on what the opposition's strengths are and weaknesses are, but certainly an option for us moving forward. And yeah, I like the thought of having more pace throughout the team, more physicality. Woyo looks decent. Remember who's playing as Amad Diallo at the weekend. This guy's no joke. Amad Diallo, sensational talent, arguably their best player this season at Old Trafford. And he comes in, and I thought he did a good solid job.
Yeah,
it's not the first time because he's done a job against Rafael Leao when they played Milan last season too. So I think somebody made the comment yesterday. The one-on-one defending that he showed was very, very good. So science for optimism.
I was going to say, Anil, I don't think he will change it. Now, I think he would have seen enough from the team with Wilf in it to probably go with the exact same with Wilf against Arsenal. That's what I think will happen.
Well, he won't play Luke Thomas there, though. I mean, I'm going to
Well,
get
no,
onto
I
this.
mean, I mean that the system and going with, obviously with Wilf in there instead of Winks.
Well, a little sneak preview for tomorrow, but literally no one said on it the whole show. But the big thing that we did against Man United, which actually confused even Amorim, was that we didn't attack with Justin in that game. We attacked with Luke Thomas. Like when you pause the freeze frames, you see that Luke Thomas joined the attack and it was Justin staying back. And they put Patrick Dorgu on because they thought it was going to be the other way around. So what ended up happening is both the teams started cancelling each other out. So where am I going with this? I thought that in the Arsenal game, what I'm interested is what side is he going to attack down if he does the fullbacks? As I've said, I think either side is garbage in my opinion. I just wouldn't do either, right? But that I think will be a big decision. But yeah, as Tom was saying and Manny's reiterated, I just think you put all these fast players in the team and the team just looks so much better and stronger ones. It wasn't just those two, like also Daka. I don't think he didn't have a chance really in that game, but actually him stretching the play and being able to press actually made stuff that I don't think we have normally. So yeah, you put Koulibaly, Okoli, Ndidi, Daka in. If nothing else, you've got a lot more physicality and pace. I mean, I'd love to see Mavididi in the team for that reason as well, just because you've got another fast player who's tall, a bit strong. So let's see how he goes with it. But I don't think he's going to change too much. You're right. But as I said, it'll be interesting what he does now of these back four options, because actually it surprised me that Luke Thomas started. Didn't surprise me that Koulibaly came on. So he can pick from 4 players now that he couldn't do before. And I also think there's the idea of starters and finishers. So I think we're all saying, which is true, half-time Amorim put on Garnacho and Garnacho started cooking us down that side. How he tried to resolve it was by taking off Bobby Reed and putting Casey McAteer on, but that didn't fix it either. But maybe instead he could have put Woyo Koulibaly on that side, right, and taken Justin off. And therefore, Justin, he can afford to play this system for 60 minutes because when he gets knackered, you just put someone else on and they're going to have a fresh leg. So on paper, we should be more secure defensively. So let's see what he does now. Yeah. I mean, basically what you're all saying is that I still think we'll go down, but I actually can sort of, with my blue tinted glasses, actually see some sort of glimmer of how we maybe somehow could engineer some points. And if we're still alive the last 5 or 6 games of the season where we have that good run, don't know. Let's hope we get there.
We've still got the hand grenade option, which is Woyo at right wing. You know, I mean, that is, if you want to
put him on right wing, Mavididi on the left wing, all of a sudden you got pace, Manny, in that attack.
You could pace. You got teams. If you set up the right way, certain games, not every game, but in certain games, if we were away to a big team, that would just make logical sense. You could have everybody sit up deep. Don't get too excited. Don't get too far forward. Don't let us leave those gaps between midfield and our defense. Keep that space compressed. And then all of a sudden you got Woyo on the charge on the right, Mavididi on the charge on the left, and you could say Daka, or I still think if Vardy's capable of being on the end of service if we can get it to him. But I can see a way, you know, I can see us actually being defensively solid for once with Ndidi, Soumare in front of Okoli. I mean, I like those 3. I mean, we're going to get into, I'm sure, Okoli's partner this week, and I know the Duck has got into Vestergaard, and some people might like Cody, and I'd probably choose Fass. We'll probably go into that detail more this week, but at least we've got the Okoli part that I'm genuinely excited about seeing him play. I think, you know, this guy does have that potential, and it might be another Soumare that actually the answer was just sitting there in front of us. We just didn't know how to utilize him brilliantly. And, you know, like Rude said in his press conference, we can't look outwards anymore, so we have to look inwards. So let's see everything we've got, including Mongers and all of those, all the cards on the table, 14 games. Can somebody do something to spark this? And as long as we're in the hunt, there's always a chance. And those last 4 games, remember, big opportunity to pick up points.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Okay, right. Caller of the day. Any suggestions?
For me, even though he trolled me with his Ethan Nwaneri comment for triple captain, I'm going to go Tom Fox's and fantasy there. That was a good, solid initial call, I think. There's some contenders, but for me,
I'm going to give it joint Tom and Jonno, because they were the 2 first-time callers.
Yeah.
Was there another first-time caller? Was it just them? I think it was just them. So yeah, the two first-time callers, I think. You in agreement, Manny?
Nah, don't worry, Costa. I got you, buddy.
Ah,
I got you, Costa. How can I not give it to Costa after all that
That's
love,
true.
huh? No, actually, yeah, Tom was brilliant today. Jonno first time, nice to have him on board. And yeah, I mean, every time we get a new caller, it's always nice from our point of view to see how far the network extends with Ukraine callers, South African callers, American callers. It's just getting bigger and better, and hopefully we can stay up and then just keep building up on it next season, and we'll be the Forest next season.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Thank you to everybody who's called. We're ending the stream right now on 14,956. So 44 subs to go. Hopefully that happens overnight. Sometimes it does. We'll see. 15,000 maybe we'll wake up to tomorrow. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Thank you to everybody who's commented. Thank you to everybody who's hit the like button, hit subscribe, and everyone who called in as well. Much appreciated. We will see you tomorrow live from 7 p.m. for the analysis. There we go. The Manchester United analysis. So as Costa likes to do, thumbs up. There we go. Oh, wait, I think I've got a little... I normally have a little... no, it's not working. There it is. A little like. There we go. But yeah, cheers. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Thank you and goodbye.